Welcome to the Learn and Talk English podcast.
Hello, everyone.
In this channel, Learn and Talk English, we are providing high-quality educational material to help you speak confidently.
We really are. And we are so happy you are here with us today.
Yes, exactly. So I want you to imagine a situation. Imagine you are walking into a beautiful meeting room.
Okay, a meeting room, like in an office.
Right, a big office in Tokyo. You are wearing your best suit. You look great.
Oh, that sounds very professional.
It is, and you give a presentation, and you use perfectly correct English grammar.
Oh, wow. Perfect grammar. That is the dream, right?
Exactly, yeah. Your vocabulary is flawless. But when you finish speaking, the whole room is quiet.
Uh-oh. That is not good.
No, it is not. The people look, very uncomfortable, and without realizing it, you just accidentally insulted everyone in the room.
Oh, no. That is a terrible feeling.
It really is. And the question is why? Why did that happen? Well, because you understood the grammar, but you completely misunderstood the invisible psychology of the English language.
Yeah, that is a terrifying scenario. But, it happens every single day in international
It
business.
really does. I mean, we see it all the time.
We do. We often think that learning a language is just about memorizing a dictionary.
Right. Just reading words in a book.
Exactly. Or, understanding verb tenses. But language does not live in a vacuum. It lives between human beings.
Yes, between people. That is so important.
So today, we are exploring a really fascinating question. Why is speaking a second language technically easy, but socially incredibly difficult?
And that is exactly what we are going to solve for you today. We know that you, our listener, are working so hard to master English.
You are, and we really respect your dedication.
We do. So our mission today is to take you from basic grammar to advanced social mastery.
Right. We are not just going to give you vocabulary lists.
No lists today. We will explore the hidden psychology of how native English speakers think.
And how they negotiate, and how they avoid conflict.
Yes, avoiding conflict is a big one. We'll talk about politeness, cultural differences, and, how to disagree without making people angry.
Exactly. It is about moving beyond just what the words mean. We need to understand what the words actually do.
Right, because words are tools.
They are. They can build relationships, and, well, they can destroy them too.
Wow. Yes. So to begin understanding this hidden psychology, we first need to look at how native speakers intentionally avoid being direct.
Right. They do this by using colorful, metaphorical phrases. We call these idioms.
Idioms. Yes, idioms are fascinating. I mean, an idiom is a phrase where the literal words do not match the actual meaning.
Exactly. If you look up the words in a dictionary, they might make sense one by one.
But when you put them together, they create a secret code.
A secret code, yes. But why do we use them? Why do humans invent secret codes instead of just telling the truth directly?
That is the perfect question. We use idioms precisely because direct truth is often very uncomfortable.
It is. Idioms give us a cushion. They're soft.
Right. They let us talk about failure or betrayal or losing money without using harsh words.
So let us look at our first group of idioms today. This group is all about success, failure, and making decisions.
Okay, let us start with the first idiom. The phrase is the best of both worlds. Let me repeat that slowly for you. The best of both worlds.
So when we look at this phrase, what worlds are we actually talking about?
Well, historically, it meant the spiritual world and the material world, like peace versus money.
Right, and back then people thought you had to choose. You could not have both.
But today, both worlds just means any two opposite situations or choices.
Exactly. In economics, we call it opportunity cost. If you choose option A, you have to give up option B.
You cannot have both.
Right. But if you achieve the best of both worlds, you have managed to get the benefits of two opposite things at the exact same time.
That sounds amazing. I want to give a really practical example for our listeners.
Oh, please do.
Think about your diet. Imagine you really, really want to eat unhealthy junk food.
Oh, I love junk food, like pizza and chocolate cake.
Yes, pizza and ice cream. That is one world, the world of junk food.
Okay, I understand.
However, you also have a strong desire to be very fit, skinny, and healthy.
Right. That is the second world, the healthy world.
Exactly. Now, biology says you have to choose one. You cannot eat pizza all day and be skinny.
Sadly, no. That is impossible.
But imagine a scientist invents a magic pizza. It tastes amazing, but it actually makes you lose weight.
Wow, I would buy that pizza.
Me too. If you had that pizza, you would achieve the impossible. You would have the best of both worlds.
That is a great example. And in a professional context, we see this when people negotiate jobs.
Right, like finding a good job balance.
Think about a business manager who wants a very high salary, but she also wants to stay home to raise her children.
Usually that is an impossible choice. You have to pick money or family.
Exactly. But if she negotiates a contract where she's the manager, gets the high money, but works totally from her home office, well, she did it.
She successfully got the best of both worlds.
Yes, she achieved perfect balance.
Now, our second idiom is different. It is about failure. The phrase is a blessing in disguise. Let me say that again. A blessing in disguise.
Okay, I want to challenge this idea.
Go ahead.
Well, a blessing is a good thing, right? A gift.
Yes, a profound good thing.
And a disguise is a mask, like a costume you wear to hide your face.
Right, a disguise hides the truth.
So how can a genuinely bad experience secretly be a positive advantage? I mean, is this just a phrase we use to make people feel better when bad things happen?
It sounds like empty comfort at first, but it actually describes a real psychological event.
Really? How so?
Well, when a bad event happens, we feel sad immediately, but this idiom asks us to look at the future.
Oh, I see. So it takes time.
Yes. A blessing in disguise is a situation that looks terrible at first. But as time passes, that bad event actually causes a very positive outcome.
And that good outcome would never have happened without the bad event.
Exactly. The good luck was wearing the disguise of a tragedy.
Let us give a real-world example to make this clear.
Okay, let us imagine your job. Imagine you feel comfortable at work. Then suddenly you are fired.
Oh, no. In English slang, we say, you got canned.
Yes, you got canned. The immediate reality is panic. You lose your money. You lose your routine. It is a very bad day.
Objectively, yes. It is terrible.
But because you were fired, you have to write a new resume, you call new people, and 2 months later you find a new job.
And let me guess, the new job is better.
Much better. It pays double the money and has a healthier environment.
Right. And if you had never experienced the pain of being fired, you would have stayed at the boring old job forever.
Exactly. So losing the job was actually a blessing in disguise. It is a powerful phrase because it teaches us to be strong.
Being strong is exactly what you need for our third idiom. The phrase is, between a rock and a hard place.
Between a rock and a hard place. Let me repeat that. Between a rock and a hard place.
We use this when a person is forced to make a decision, but every option is bad.
Yes, every choice gives a negative outcome.
The history of this phrase is really interesting. It might come from old mining camps in America.
Right, where people worked with stones.
Exactly. Imagine you are physically trapped. You are standing between a giant rock and a solid stone wall. If you move left, you hit the rock. If you move right, you hit the wall.
Moving in any direction causes pain. In modern life, this means a terrible dilemma.
Yeah, it is not just having choices. It is the heavy feeling of choosing your own punishment.
Let us imagine a money problem. Imagine your car engine completely breaks.
Oh, that is the worst. Cars are so expensive.
They are. You take it to the mechanic. Option 1, you pay $5,000 to fix it. But you do not have that money, so you must borrow it and go into debt.
Okay, that is a bad option. What is option 2?
Option 2, you leave the car and buy a brand new one. That means you have a $30,000 loan for 5 years.
Well, either choice really ruins your money situation.
Exactly. But you cannot just do nothing because you need a car to drive to work.
Right. You are completely stuck between a rock and a hard place.
This naturally leads to our second theme of idioms. This group is about work, money, and effort.
Yes. Native English speakers love to use metaphors to talk about money.
Why is that? Why not just talk about it directly?
Because money is tied to survival. Talking about it directly can feel scary or impolite.
That makes sense. Our fourth idiom captures the shock of high prices perfectly. The phrase is, cost an arm and a leg.
Let us say it again slowly. Cost an arm and a leg.
So are we actually talking about cutting off our arms?
No, it is just a very dramatic exaggeration.
Right, the hyperbole.
Exactly. If something is so incredibly expensive that buying it feels as painful as losing your own body parts, well, it costs an arm and a leg.
I want you to picture going shopping. Imagine you are walking past a nice store and you see a beautiful winter coat.
So I love winter coats. I walk inside to look at it.
You check the price tag and it is $4,000.
4,000. Oh my goodness.
You immediately pull your hand away. In your mind, you think, I do not have the money for this.
But to explain my shock to my friend, I would turn and say, the coat is beautiful, but it costs an arm and a leg.
Exactly. You just cannot justify spending that much money.
And we use this idiom for small things too, if the price feels unfair.
Really? Like what?
Well, imagine you are at the airport. You want a basic bottle of water.
Okay. And the water is $8.
Right. $8 is not $4,000, but for water, it feels like a lot. So you say, this water costs an arm and a leg.
Yes, the relative price is painfully high. Now, let us contrast that luxury with our fifth idiom. This one deals with true poverty.
Okay. The phrase is living hand to mouth.
Living hand to mouth. The visual image here is very strong.
It is. This phrase started during times of terrible starvation. It describes a life with absolutely zero extra food.
Imagine a person who is so hungry. The exact second they get food in their hand, the hand goes straight to the mouth.
Right. There's no saving it for tomorrow. There's no storage.
In modern society, we use this to describe living paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck. That means you earn money, but your basic bills take all of it immediately.
Yes. Your rent, food, and electricity consume 100% of your money. If you get paid on Friday, your bank account is empty by Monday.
You have no savings, no emergency money. If a sudden problem happens, you are ruined. You are living hand to mouth.
It is a very exhausting way to live. But moving from the exhaustion of poverty, let us talk about the exhaustion of ambition.
Yes. Our sixth idiom. No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. This phrase is very famous in Western culture.
It really is. It basically means that suffering is required if you want to achieve something.
But I want to ask, is this phrase just promoting useless suffering, or is it based on real science?
It is actually deeply based on biology. It became very popular through sports.
Oh, like going to the gym.
Exactly. Let us look at building muscle. When you lift heavy weights at the gym, you are physically creating tiny tears in your muscle fibers.
You are actually hurting your muscles.
Yes, you are causing trauma. That is the pain.
Okay, I see.
Then your body repairs those tears and adds more strength so it can handle the weight next time. That is the gain. Without the pain, the gain never happens.
We can apply this exact same biology rule to what you are doing right now, learning the English language.
Yes. When you study complex English grammar late at night, your brain works very hard.
You feel tired, you feel frustrated, you might even get a headache.
That mental friction is the pain. It feels bad, but it is actually your brain growing new pathways.
If you only practice easy words, you feel comfortable, but you never become fluent. To master English, you must accept the friction. No pain, no gain.
Yes. And being able to handle that friction will help you with our third and final theme of idioms, relationships and conflict.
Human relationships can be very difficult, and our language shows that tension. Let us look at idiom number 7.
The phrase is see eye to eye.
Let me repeat, see eye to eye. This describes a state of perfect agreement between two people.
Right. The origin of this is very old. It comes from human body language.
Imagine two animals, or early humans, looking directly into each other's eyes.
Often that is a challenge of power. If one person looks down, they submit. If they look away, they give up.
But if two people keep steady, level eye contact without fighting, it shows balance. They are equal.
Their minds are perfectly aligned. They agree.
For example, in a business meeting, you might say, after 3 hours of talking, our team and their team finally see eye to eye on the contract.
That means the conflict is resolved. But we also use the negative form very often.
Yes. You might talk about a family problem by saying, my father and I love each other, but when it comes to politics, we simply never see eye to eye.
That means your opinions are completely opposite. You just do not agree.
Unfortunately, when people fail to see eye to eye, it can lead to very bad behavior.
That brings us to idiom number 8. Stab someone in the back.
Stab someone in the back. This is a very violent image, especially for an office job.
It is brutal. To turn your back to someone means you trust them completely.
Right, because you cannot see them. You are exposing your weakest area.
And to take advantage of that trust and hit them with a knife is the ultimate betrayal.
But in modern English, we do not use this to talk about physical fighting. We use it for social betrayal.
It describes breaking a trusted partnership. Imagine a situation at work.
Okay, let us imagine you and a coworker create a brilliant new idea to make money for the company.
You share all your best secrets with this coworker while eating lunch.
But the next day, there's a huge meeting with the big boss.
And before you can speak, Your coworker stands up, presents your exact idea, and says they did it all alone.
Wow, they steal your idea and they get the promotion.
Exactly. They used your trust to help themselves. You would say, my coworker stabbed me in the back.
That kind of betrayal creates a very tense environment. And this leads to our ninth and final idiom.
This idiom perfectly describes what happens when a group of people refuse to talk about a huge problem.
The phrase is the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room.
This concept is a famous metaphor for collective denial.
I want you to visualize this with me. Imagine you are sitting in a small meeting room.
Okay, a small room.
Sitting right in the middle of the table is a giant gray elephant.
A literal elephant.
Yes, a 5-ton animal. It is breathing loudly. It is breaking the coffee cups. It is taking up all the space.
That is absurd and very dangerous.
Exactly. But every single person in the room is staring down at their paper, calmly talking about buying pencils.
So everyone sees the elephant, but everyone is too scared to talk about it.
Right. No one wants to say the words, "There is an elephant in the room."
This illustrates a situation where a problem is too socially dangerous to mention.
Let us give a business example. Suppose a company's boss has a severe problem with drinking alcohol.
Oh, that is a very serious problem. It could destroy the company.
Yes. And every single worker knows about the drinking. But during the big company meeting, nobody mentions it. They only talk about the stock market.
Because talking about the boss's drinking requires confronting power, which is terrifying. The boss's behavior is the elephant in the room.
It is uncomfortable because pointing out the elephant breaks the rules of human social survival. We are terrified of blunt honesty.
And this brings us to the most crucial shift in our discussion today.
Yes, understanding these idioms is just learning the vocabulary of conflict avoidance.
But to truly master English, we must dive into Section 2, the psychology of communication.
Why are we so paralyzed by the thought of disagreeing with someone? Why do we avoid the elephant?
We avoid it because of a profound psychological concept called face.
Face. F-A-C-E, like the front of your head.
No, not your physical face. In 1987, sociolinguists created a framework called politeness theory.
Oh, politeness theory. I love this part.
They discovered that humans do not just share information when they speak. They're constantly trying to survive socially.
Yes, every single human has a public self-image, an emotional ego. And they called this ego your face.
Face is your identity. It is the avatar you show the world. And you desperately need the world to validate that avatar.
The researchers split this into two competing desires: positive face and negative face.
Let us explore these carefully. First, positive face.
Now, do not let the word positive confuse you. It does not simply mean good.
Right. Positive face refers to the fundamental human desire to be liked, admired, and included by the group.
Yes, you want your opinions to be respected. You want people to think you are smart.
Let us use an analogy. Imagine you are invited to a beautiful dinner party.
Okay, I'm going to a party.
Your positive face is the deep hunger to arrive at the party and be welcomed. You want the host to hug you. You want people to compliment your clothes.
When I tell a story, I want people to laugh. I want to feel like I belong.
Exactly. When that happens, your positive face is nourished. You feel secure.
But human psychology is tricky. At the exact same time that we want to belong, we also want to be independent.
This brings us to negative face. Again, negative does not mean bad.
It means the desire to be free. Negative face is your desire for independence and the right to not be bothered by other people.
You want to control your own time. Returning to our dinner party analogy, your negative face represents your right to leave the party whenever you want.
Imagine it is midnight. I am tired. I stand up, get my coat, and prepare to go home.
But suddenly, the host physically blocks the door. He grabs your arm and loudly says, "You cannot leave. You must stay and drink more with me."
My body would instantly tense up. My heart rate would go up.
Why? Because your freedom was taken away.
Nah.
Your negative face was severely attacked.
Wow, so this constant internal war between wanting to belong, which is positive face, and wanting freedom, which is negative face, controls how we speak.
Exactly. And this leads to the core mechanism of politeness theory, face-threatening acts.
Face-threatening acts, or FTAs.
Every time you open your mouth to speak to someone, you risk committing an FTA.
I want to challenge you on this. Is it really that dramatic? Do we actually threaten people just by talking?
We absolutely do. Let us look at giving a command. If I walk into your office, point at you and say, "Send me the report immediately."
I would feel a bit annoyed.
Right. I have committed a severe threat to your negative face. I have not physically hit you, but I have verbally taken your freedom.
You dictated my actions and took my time. My brain registers this as a threat, even if I do the work.
What about situations with criticism? Suppose an employee works for 3 weeks on a design project.
They present it to their manager, and the manager bluntly says, "This design is terrible. Your colors are completely wrong."
That is a devastating attack on the employee's positive face. The employee's desire to be seen as smart has been publicly destroyed.
The manager rejected the employee's worth. This is why people cry or quit their jobs over reviews. Their face was threatened.
Because humans subconsciously understand how painful this is, we developed complex systems of polite words to protect each other.
Yes, politeness theory identifies 4 universal politeness strategies. These strategies minimize the damage of an FTA.
We are going to analyze these 4 strategies deeply because mastering them is the key to English fluency.
Strategy number 1 is the baseline. It is called bald on record. Bald on record.
Bald means empty of decoration. On record means your intention is perfectly clear.
When you use this strategy, you do absolutely nothing to protect the other person's face. You just want maximum efficiency.
Now, using bald on record in normal conversation is usually considered very rude.
So when is it socially acceptable? Primarily in emergencies.
Right. If you see a heavy piano falling from a window directly above your friend's head, you do not use polite grammar.
You do not say, "Excuse me, I wonder if you might consider moving." You scream, "Move!" or "Jump!"
The extreme danger overrides the need for politeness.
We also use bald on record in relationships of extreme close intimacy.
Like a parent speaking to a small child. A mother just says, "Eat your vegetables."
The bond is so secure that directness will not ruin the relationship. However, outside of emergencies and family, we must use our second strategy.
Strategy number 2 is positive politeness.
Positive politeness is designed to flatter and protect the listener's positive face before you deliver the threat.
It is like giving someone a gift before asking for a favor. You highlight shared group membership and respect.
You use compliments, jokes, and friendly words like mate or buddy.
Let us imagine you need a coworker to help you move heavy furniture.
That is a big threat to their negative face because it requires their time and physical work.
You would not use bold on record and say, "Help me move this desk."
Instead, you use positive politeness. You approach them and say, "Sarah, your spatial awareness is incredible. You did an amazing job organizing the lobby last week."
Since you have such a great eye for design, could you possibly help me figure out how to move this heavy desk?
You elevated her status. You made her feel admired. Because her positive face is glowing, she is highly likely to help you.
Strategy number 3 takes a different approach. It is called negative politeness.
While positive politeness moves toward the person with warmth, negative politeness moves away from the person with deep respect for their boundaries.
This strategy is entirely focused on protecting their negative face, their right to remain undisturbed.
Negative politeness relies on apologies and linguistic distance.
You frame your request in a way that continuously apologizes for bothering them.
Imagine you are at a very formal business dinner. You do not know the people sitting near you. You need the pitcher of water on the other side of the table.
You do not use bald on record and say, "Pass the water." You do not use positive politeness and say, "You look great, pass the water."
You use negative politeness. You say, "I am so incredibly sorry to interrupt your conversation, but if it is not too much of an imposition, could you possibly pass the pitcher of water?"
Let us analyze that sentence. "I am so incredibly sorry to interrupt." Explicitly apologizes for the threat.
If it is not too much of an imposition, acknowledges their right to refuse.
Could you possibly uses conditional grammar to create distance. You treat their freedom as sacred.
This leads us to the fourth, most complex strategy, off-record, also known as indirect politeness.
With the off-record strategy, you completely remove the request from the sentence.
You do not ask a question, you do not give a command, you just drop a subtle hint.
You are relying entirely on the listener to read the situation and volunteer to help you.
Let us look at a classic scenario. You are in a shared office space. A colleague opened the window and freezing cold air is blowing on you.
If you use bold on record, you say, "Close the window."
But if you use off-record, you wrap your arms around yourself, shiver visibly, look at the window and say, "Goodness, the temperature has certainly dropped in here over the last 10 minutes.
Notice what you did not say. You never told them to close the window.
The genius of off-record is plausible deniability. If the coworker ignores your hint, your face is not threatened by rejection.
Because technically, you never asked a question. You just stated a fact about the cold.
However, if the coworker is socially smart, they will decode the hint, realize you were freezing, and volunteer to close the window themselves.
They get to feel like a hero, and you get a warm room.
But how does the human brain choose which of these four strategies to use in real time?
Brown and Levinson identified 3 critical sociological variables that our brains process before we speak.
We must evaluate social distance, power, and the rank of imposition. Let us unpack these 3 variables because they are the master keys to English.
Variable number 1 is social distance. This measures the psychological gap between you and the listener.
Are you best friends, or did you just meet 5 seconds ago on a bus?
When social distance is high, meaning you are strangers, you must use high-level strategies like negative or off-record politeness.
When social distance is low, meaning you are close friends, you can use bald on record or positive politeness.
Variable number 2 is power. This evaluates the hierarchy between the speaker and the listener.
Does the listener hold authority over your job or safety? If you are a new employee speaking to the CEO, the power variable is massive.
You are speaking upward. Therefore, you must use extreme negative politeness.
Conversely, if the CEO is speaking down to the new employee, the CEO possesses the power to use highly direct language.
Variable number 3 is the rank of imposition. Rank means the size of the threat. Imposition is the burden you are placing on the other person.
You must constantly ask yourself, how big is the favor I am asking?
Consider the difference between borrowing a pen and borrowing a car.
If you ask a coworker for a pen, the rank of imposition is very small. It costs them nothing. You can use low-level politeness. Can I grab that pen for a second?
But suppose your car breaks down, and you need to ask that exact same coworker to borrow their car for a week.
The rank of imposition is huge. You are asking them for a massive favor.
Even if you are friends, the sheer size of the request forces you to use the highest levels of negative politeness and elaborate apologies.
Understanding distance, power, and rank gives you a mathematical formula for politeness. However, there is a massive complication.
Yes, the exact same calculation will produce a completely different result depending on which country you're standing in.
This brings us into Section 3. Cultural differences, direct versus indirect communication. The rules of politeness are not universal. We are not taking sides. One culture is not better than the other, but we're just trying to convey the ideas so you can understand them.
This is perhaps the most critical section for international professionals. Anthropologist Edward T. Hall categorized the world into direct and indirect cultures.
Let us begin by analyzing direct cultures.
Direct cultures are typically found in the United States, Germany, Australia, and the Netherlands.
The foundational philosophy of a direct culture is that the ultimate form of respect is clarity and efficiency.
The goal of conversation is the rapid exchange of information. They view time as a very valuable resource.
Therefore, wrapping your words in endless layers of politeness is viewed not as respectful, but as a waste of the listener's time.
In a direct culture, the concept of no is morally neutral. It is simply a data point.
Imagine an Australian manager sends an email to an employee asking, "Can you take on this extra project by Friday?"
The employee looks at their schedule, realizes they are too busy, and replies, "No, I cannot take this on. I have 3 other deadlines."
In a direct culture, the manager reads that email, respects the employee for their honesty, and assigns the project to someone else. The truth is polite.
Now, let us pivot completely and examine indirect cultures.
Indirect cultures encompass much of the globe, including Japan, China, India, and Saudi Arabia.
In these cultures, the foundational philosophy is not the rapid exchange of data. It is the absolute preservation of group harmony.
Information is secondary to emotional balance. Prioritizing blunt truth over comfort is considered very rude.
Delivering negative news or saying a sharp no are viewed as catastrophic, face-threatening acts.
Therefore, these cultures employ profound levels of tact and gentle excuses to navigate around conflict. They rely heavily on the off-record strategies.
This is where I want to challenge the concept. To a Western mind, this sounds incredibly inefficient.
Yes. If I'm an American business person in Japan and an indirect person avoids giving me a straight answer, it feels like they're lying to me. Doesn't this breed confusion?
It only breeds confusion if you do not understand the underlying code. You must differentiate between objective truth and social truth.
In indirect culture, when someone invents a polite excuse to decline an invitation, they are not lying to deceive you. They are lying to protect you.
They are protecting your positive face from the sting of rejection. Furthermore, within that culture, everyone understands the code.
When a Japanese executive says, "We will study your proposal with the utmost sincerity," a native listener understands what that really means.
Yes. It almost certainly means we are rejecting your proposal, but we respect you too much to say it to your face.
The message is transmitted perfectly without the trauma of direct conflict.
The friction occurs when the two cultures collide without a translator. Let us provide practical advice for navigating this.
First scenario. If I am a naturally direct, efficient communicator, how do I successfully communicate with an indirect person without causing offense?
If you are a direct communicator, you must radically slow down your speed. You cannot walk into a meeting and immediately demand data.
You must build the relational foundation first. Spend time asking about their family or their journey. Easing into the topic is mandatory.
Furthermore, you must develop the skill of listening to the silence. You must listen between the lines.
An indirect person will almost never give you a definitive no. If you propose a fast timeline and they inhale sharply, look down and say, that could present certain complexities, you must realize you hit a wall.
Do not push harder. Understand that you just received a no.
The interrogation style is also a major issue. Direct people constantly demand the rationale behind actions. We ask, why did revenue drop? Or, why did you choose that vendor?
You must strip the word why from your vocabulary when questioning an indirect communicator.
Why? Sounds like a prosecutor in a courtroom. It is a direct attack on their competence.
Instead, you ask, could you provide us with a little historical background on how the situation evolved?
Or would you mind sharing some of the thoughts that guided this decision? You are asking for the exact same information, but providing a safe space to answer.
Now, let us reverse the paradigm. If I am an indirect person, and I take a job at a frantic tech startup in New York City or Sydney, how do I adapt to a direct culture without feeling attacked?
The psychological shift required here is massive. You must retrain your brain to stop perceiving directness as aggression.
When your American boss asks you a blunt question, they are not angry with you. They are simply trying to acquire data quickly.
You must stop interpreting their lack of social cushioning as a personal insult.
So, an indirect person must fundamentally abandon their instinct to protect the other person's face with vague answers.
Absolutely. This is where indirect communicators often fail in Western business.
If a direct manager asks, can you finish this code by tomorrow? An indirect employee might want to preserve harmony and say, I will try my absolute best, knowing it is impossible.
In an indirect culture, the manager understands that I will try means no. But the direct manager takes it literally, expects the code tomorrow, and is furious when it is not delivered.
If you are in a direct culture, you must give sincere, immediate, mathematically accurate answers.
If you cannot do it, look them in the eye and say, I have reviewed the parameters, and it is impossible to deliver this before Thursday.
The direct manager will not feel insulted. They will feel deep respect for your professional honesty.
That is a profound shift. But transitioning between directness and indirectness requires specific linguistic machinery. How do we actually manufacture this politeness in the English language?
What exact words do we use to cushion our thoughts? This leads us directly into Section 4, the art of softening the blow, hedging language.
Hedging. I will spell that for our listeners. Hedging.
Hedging is arguably the single most important skill you can develop to elevate your English mastery.
Let me conceptualize what hedging actually is. Hedging is the strategic process of introducing doubt into your sentences.
Let us use a physical metaphor. Imagine your criticism is a heavy, sharp rock.
If you throw a raw rock at someone, it causes pain. That represents direct language.
Hedging is the act of wrapping that sharp rock in soft pillows before you throw it. The message reaches the person, but it lands softly.
We have identified 5 primary techniques to build these linguistic pillows.
Technique number 1 relies on using modals. Modals are words that indicate likelihood. For hedging, we specifically rely on the modals could, might, would, and should.
Let us examine a communication failure. You are reviewing a document prepared by a colleague. You spot a math error.
If you use direct language, throwing the rock, you say, your calculation is wrong.
That destroys their face. But watch what happens when we inject a modal verb. You walk up to them and say, you could be mistaken on this calculation.
Or, these numbers might not be entirely correct.
Notice the brilliant manipulation here. By using the word might, you are mathematically stating there is a percentage chance they are right.
You are introducing hypothetical distance. It allows them to say, oh, let me double check that and fix their own mistake without feeling humiliated.
Technique number 2 builds upon this by utilizing adverbs. We use adverbs of probability like maybe, possibly, or probably.
Let us construct a scenario. A team member proposes launching a new product in a bad market. You know this will lead to ruin.
A blunt rejection is, "This is a terrible idea." Instead, we wrap the rock in adverbs.
You say, this is possibly not the most optimal strategy at this moment.
Or, "It is probably wiser to delay the launch." The word possibly changes the sentence from an arrogant declaration into a cautious observation.
Technique number 3 involves using soft phrases. These are introductory clauses designed to frame your statement as a subjective opinion.
If you say, "You did not understand the client's demands," you are acting as an omniscient judge. That is highly aggressive.
Instead, you preface your concern with a soft phrase. You say, it seems to me that, or it appears that.
So the sentence becomes, "It seems to me that there was a slight misunderstanding of the client's demands."
Or you can use a phrase like, as far as I am aware. You might state, as far as I am aware, the legal department has not yet approved this.
By starting with, "As far as I am aware," you protect yourself. If you are wrong, you do not look foolish because you admitted your knowledge was limited.
Technique number 4 is a structural revolution. It is the practice of turning statements into questions.
The psychological difference between a statement and a question is huge. A direct statement is a closed door. A question is an open invitation.
This is vital when dealing with discipline. Imagine an employee arrives 45 minutes late to a meeting.
A declarative statement is, "You are late." This corners the employee. They lose face.
How do we extract the poison from this interaction? We turn the accusation into an inquiry.
You ask, "Could it be that something unexpected delayed you in traffic this morning?"
Or, focusing on empathy, you ask, is everything okay? We were expecting you at 9 o'clock.
By phrasing it as a question, you are offering them the benefit of the doubt. You are giving them a platform to explain an emergency before you pass judgment.
Finally, technique number 5 is very common in corporate English, using positive language for negative things.
If you want to sound professional, you must surgically remove words like bad, wrong, fail, or problem from your vocabulary.
You must describe negative reality using negated positive words.
Let us practice this. You are assessing a marketing campaign and you know it will collapse. Do not use the word fail.
You take a positive word, like work, and attach a negative modifier to it. You say, I am concerned that this campaign might not work as effectively as we hope.
You communicated failure, but you used the word work to do it.
The most famous example is the eradication of the word problem. Instead of saying, we have a massive problem, you say, we are facing a significant challenge.
A problem sounds defeating. A challenge sounds like an exciting puzzle. It shifts the entire psychological framing.
So we now have a formidable arsenal of tools. We understand idioms, the theory of face, cultural divides, and how to hedge our language.
It is time to synthesize all of this into the ultimate test of English proficiency. We have arrived at Section 5, agreeing and disagreeing in the real world.
How do you navigate human disagreement without destroying the relationship?
Let us begin with how to agree. Agreeing is socially effortless because it injects validation into their positive face.
When you agree, you reinforce their intellect. You make them feel secure.
To express complete agreement, you can state plainly, I agree with you 100%.
But there is a slightly more complex phrase native speakers adore. I couldn't agree with you more.
Let us break down, I couldn't agree with you more. It utilizes a negative contraction. Couldn't. Often, learners hear a negative word and assume disagreement.
But the logic is mathematical. It means my level of agreement is so incredibly high it has reached the absolute maximum limit. It is physically impossible for me to add any more agreement.
Therefore, I couldn't agree with you more is the highest compliment you can pay to an idea. You can also use validators like, that makes total sense.
Agreeing is the easy part. The true test of fluency is opposition. Disagreeing is a delicate surgical procedure.
We are going to categorize disagreement into 4 distinct levels of intensity.
Level 1 is the danger zone. This level is characterized by blunt, naked contradiction.
This includes phrases such as, you are completely wrong, you do not know what you're talking about, or are you serious right now?
I must issue a severe warning regarding level 1. These phrases are the linguistic equivalent of a nuclear strike.
They completely annihilate the listener's positive face. If you use these in a corporate environment, you will be viewed as aggressive and unprofessional.
Erase level 1 from your vocabulary. Moving into safer territory, we have level 2, neutral or everyday disagreement.
These are the phrases you use in casual environments. I don't really think so. Not necessarily, or not quite.
I want to highlight the genius of not necessarily. It is a structural lifesaver because it allows you to completely bypass complex grammar.
Yes, in English, disagreeing usually requires you to match auxiliary verb tenses, but not necessarily operates outside of tense.
Furthermore, it is incredibly polite. It implies that the speaker's logic might be right in another situation, just not this one.
Now we advance to level 3, polite and indirect disagreement. I refer to this as the yes but strategy.
The phrases include, I am not entirely sure about that. I see your point, but, or I understand what you were saying, however.
Analyze the psychological sequencing of the yes but strategy. Before you drop the rock of disagreement, you build a foundation of validation.
When you begin with, I see your point, you are performing positive politeness. You are telling the listener, you are intelligent and I respect your thought process.
Once their face is protected, their defensive shields lower. Only then do you introduce the word but, followed by your counter-argument.
Finally, we reach level 4, formal and professional disagreement. This is the sophisticated language required in boardrooms, particularly when interacting with superiors.
You use constructions like, I tend to see it a bit differently, or that is certainly a valid perspective, but looking at the data, I see it differently.
Suppose the executive team proposes a strategy that will bankrupt the company. You cannot utilize level 1. Instead, you rely on formal hedging.
You state, I have significant reservations about pursuing that direction. The noun reservations is a professional way to articulate deep fear without sounding emotional.
You can also deploy phrases like, I am afraid I cannot fully support that approach at this time, or I am concerned that this strategy does not align with our overall goals.
The brilliance of does not align with our overall goals lies in its psychological deflection. Notice that you are completely removing the human beings from the conflict.
You are creating a triangle. There is you, there's the listener, and there is the abstract concept of the company's goals.
You evaluate the idea solely against the abstract goals. This removes all personal animosity and perfectly preserves the face of the executive. Point to the goals, not the person.
That is a masterclass in diplomacy. But what happens when diplomacy fails? What happens when you and your colleague are locked in an intractable debate?
The conversation is spiraling, anger is rising. How do you escape before the relationship is damaged? You need an escape hatch.
And conversational escape hatch is a universally recognized phrase designed to instantly terminate a deadlocked argument while preserving dignity.
The most famous escape hatch in the English language is the phrase, let us agree to disagree. Let us agree to disagree.
When you invoke this, you are establishing a meta-agreement. You are saying, I accept the reality of your unchangeable opinion, and I demand that you accept mine.
Further debate will only cause damage, so we will formally acknowledge our stalemate and move on to a different topic. It declares the debate a tie, no one loses.
Another brilliant, slightly more folksy escape hatch is the rhyming idiom. Different strokes for different folks. Different strokes for different folks.
In this context, strokes refers to preferences or ways of moving through the world. Folks is an informal term for human beings.
The underlying philosophy is radical acceptance of human diversity. It acknowledges that what makes sense to person A might be repulsive to person B.
When you are arguing over subjective matters, deploying this phrase diffuses the tension. It means you are a different human being than I am, so naturally you prefer a different approach, and that is perfectly acceptable.
It completely dissolves the need for one person to be objectively right.
We have covered an absolutely monumental amount of intellectual territory today. Let me synthesize this incredible journey for you, our dedicated learner.
We began by acknowledging that fluency is not just grammar. Fluency is sociology.
We decoded the secret language of idioms, realizing that phrases like having the best of both worlds, being caught between a rock and a hard place, or ignoring the elephant in the room are vital tools designed to discuss painful realities softly.
From there, we unlocked the fundamental theory of human interaction, politeness theory, and the concept of face.
You now understand that every time you speak, you are holding the fragile self-esteem of the listener in your hands. You recognize the delicate balance between nourishing their positive face and protecting their negative face.
You understand that fist-threatening acts are inevitable, but you are now equipped with the 4 politeness strategies.
We also bridge the massive divide between global communication styles. You now possess the insight to navigate direct cultures that worship efficiency and indirect cultures that worship harmony.
You learned the critical mechanics of hedging, utilizing modals, adverbs, and soft phrases to construct thick linguistic pillows around your sharpest critiques.
And finally, you mastered the graduated levels of disagreement, culminating in the professional elegance of aligning with goals and utilizing the escape hatch to agree to disagree.
The language you use shapes the reality you inhabit. By mastering these invisible psychological forces, you are manipulating the social environment. You are building trust and commanding respect.
As we conclude this extraordinary exploration, I want to present you with a final, provocative challenge for your daily life. Tomorrow, when you engage in a conversation, I want you to fundamentally alter how you listen. Stop listening strictly to the definitions of the words.
Start listening to the psychology underneath the words. Ask yourself in real time, why did they phrase it exactly that way?
Is the person trying to flatter your positive face? Or are they meticulously trying to protect your negative face by apologizing for the interruption?
Look closely at their sentence structures. Can you identify the invisible pillows they are desperately placing around their requests to soften the impact?
When you stop hearing just the vocabulary and you start seeing the underlying matrix of face, power, and politeness, you will realize that every conversation is a beautifully complex dance of social survival. Once you see the dance, you have truly mastered the language.
Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey today.
Please subscribe and like this episode. Leave us your thoughts in the comments below. Keep listening to the Learn and Talk English podcast in this channel, where we will always provide you with high-quality educational material. Keep practicing, speak slowly, and see you next time.